This is Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions.
Welcome back to another episode of AFL Unpopular Opinions. I'm Ryan Cook. Joining me in the studio, we're down a man again, Tommy Rockcliffe. What a time to take a holiday.
I know.
Unbelievable.
But if you're going to take a holiday, what a place to go on holiday. Well, we should correct that. He's working. He's at a conference.
Do we have that definite?
Well, I think that's for the tax. For the tax department, that's what he's saying.
How many rounds of golf is he claiming?
Was it
on
4?
His tax?
I think 4 rounds of golf.
I don't think he's left the golf course.
He did send a bit of vision driving at the Jacks. It looked like Jacks Point golf course.
I think it was. Yes. Very
magnificent
beautiful spot.
Magnificent with the snow in the background. So he's doing
the
it tough.
The foreground wasn't great, but the background was tough.
Yeah, the swing was awful. But anyway, no, he's doing very nicely over there.
I'll give you boys a proper intro. Alastair Lynch, Jack Lindley, as always, boys. Plenty to talk about. Big weekend of finals footy. And we're getting close to the premiership now, so let's just rip into it, I think. Crows, Collingwood, back Thursday night.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see that with the Pies, and I tipped Adelaide, and then Pies win, you go, oh, shit, really? Because, they were so good. And what their pressure was outstanding, which made Adelaide dump kick into their forward line. Yep. So their big forwards were rendered useless, and Darcy Moore put on a clinic. He cleaned up. And you look at their midfield, we always talk about Nick Dacos being one of the elite players in the competition. Yep. He was the highest pressure player in the midfield as well. So not only is he getting the ball, he's stopping others or putting pressure on others as well. So no, that was a clinical display by Collingwood, and they've been in reasonably poor form. But that was a great win. Now, don't you get nervous when you look at Collingwood? They're through to a bloody prelim.
It seemed like a must-win for them, that game, and now they look like, they could go on and win it all.
Yeah, so no, it was a great display. Adelaide were on top for a reason. They're a very good side, so you suspect they'd bounce back, but this week's going to be a big game, big pressure game for them.
Huge.
We'll get to that in a sec, but you talk about the pressure on Thursday night, Lynchy. It was immense from start to finish. Dacos going back, kicking a couple of goals is handy as well. Jamie Elliott. Is there a better finals player right now than Jordan De Goey as well? What he can do in September is almost Dusty Martin-like, I think, sometimes.
Has he been cleared of that little bump?
I'm not sure on that.
I haven't heard anything about it, but I remember, I think I was chatting to Brownie on Friday and we're talking about that, and Brownie's retiring from all media commitments if that goes up.
Really? He's calling it.
Yeah, he's probably lucky though. Lucky it was Worrell, wasn't it? Just got clipped on the... Lucky he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Because that would have been straight out. But no, I think he'll be safe. But you're right. De Goey's one of those players, game-breaking players, that can go forward and rip a game apart in a matter of minutes. But such an important player for Collingwood, as is Jamie Elliott.
Yeah.
Like, Elliott had been struggling, I think, 6 goals in the previous 5 weeks. But they need him to be able to jump in for those 2 or 3 or 4 goals.
The clutch player that he normally is.
Yeah, bloody hell. So, no, they were very, very impressive.
Yeah, they looked just so composed on the ball, with a high pressure off the ball, and the opposite can be said for the Crows, who were panicked into those forward entries. The 3 tools just didn't look like they were up for it. It's tough to see them bouncing back straight away against Hawthorn as well, who looked pretty good at times.
It's an interesting battle against the Hawks because the Hawks are such a small forward, crafty kind of team, and then Adelaide has the tools. So I think both sides are quite evenly matched in the midfield and down back, but we'll talk more about that game later.
Pies supporters.
Huh?
What about the Pies supporters?
Oh, immense.
How good? They're not great when they're your opposition supporters and they're abusing you across the fence. But how good to see the busloads going to Adelaide.
Travel.
And where was I? I was driving home late after the game on Thursday and listening to Finey's final siren on SEN, and just all the Collingwood supporters ringing in. It was great. I had one Collingwood supporter ring in from India, but they were up and about. They are absolutely up and about. So the support they got was incredible.
What about the Crows supporters? They were giving Quaynor a bit of grief. What do you think about that? All the booing.
That's poor.
Like,
I'm not a booer myself, but it's part and parcel of games. Like if, a great player like Wayne Carey runs out in the ground, he's probably going to get booed by the opposition, and that's more for he's the best player in the game.
Yeah.
And, there's players that cop a bit of that. But to be booing Isaac Quaynor for what supposedly happened a couple of weeks ago when he was vilified, essentially, or had that homophobic slur pointed at him, to be booed for that is just disgraceful.
It's disgraceful.
100%, yeah.
Absolutely disgraceful. And, would people booing walk away thinking, I'm a dickhead for doing that? Surely. I mean...
You want to hope so.
You'd hope so. What about that? I mean, I know it's difficult and you can't... If there's a bunch of... I say there's a bunch of blokes next to you booing, you can't really say anything because that's going to probably cause some issues.
Put a target on your back,
But you'd like to think that if the two of us... are at the footy and you've decided to boo Isaac Quaynor, that you'd made it go, come on, mate.
Put your head in.
You'd like to think that. But obviously that wasn't the case. But that's piss poor, really. We don't want that.
No.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too because there was a lot of talk during the week about the Adelaide crowd and enhanced security because they can get a bit rowdy, let's be honest, and this happens. So
you reckon that actually wound them up a little bit more?
I think it might have fed the fire a little bit. Yeah,
maybe that's it. But no, it's poor and it's just not acceptable in society. It's not acceptable. Even the footy, people say, well, I paid my money. Yeah, you pay your money, you can do things and you even can say some things, but that sort of going down that path, I just don't think it's right.
Yeah.
I thought Quaynor was probably top 3 best players on the ground too. Like he didn't seem fazed by it in his play. So
it's kind of like a galvanising thing when you've got a whole fan group just booing. Like it's something that a team can use before the game to kind of really get that team spirit, motivate them.
Definitely
come out and silence the crowd.
Yeah.
And the challenge to silence a crowd like that is a huge task, but it does, and probably not so much before the game, because I don't think the Collingwood players would be preparing for the booing.
Yeah.
But during the game, I reckon it does bring you a bit closer together. Think, hang on, one of our mates is getting booed for something that's wrong. So it does bring you a bit closer together.
Yeah. I don't know if I really liked Matthew Nix's post-game comments on it either. He didn't want to talk about it. He said, I don't want to dive into that. You kind of want to hear from him. You just want him to say, we hope our fans weren't booing for that reason. That's all he really needed to say.
Yeah.
And it wasn't said. And I thought that was a little bit disappointing as well. Let's move on though. Friday night, Cats 112, Brisbane 74. It's looking like a bit of a disaster now for the Lions on the injury front. But you look up at the Cats and the CV that Chris Scott's putting together now, dating all the way back to 2007. Premiers, runners-up, Premiers, prelim, runners-up, prelim. It's an immense list. It's
incredible. What a footy club. And it's not just one person. I mean, Chris Scott's been at the head of it, but they had first-class CEOs and footy managers and recruiters and that sort of stuff. But they've got this culture going down there, and beautifully led by Chris. And he's got the best record in footy.
Yep.
The home and away wins to start with, I think, is all-time best, up around 70%. But what they have done, so they've been beaten by Brisbane the last 3 times. They're planning to go about this to put pressure and cut out that uncontested mark game, but also to press up and put that much pressure on the ball carrier that the handball game that Brisbane can get up and going, they coughed it up.
Yep.
So no, they did it beautifully, and their class going the other way was
and they're almost
first class.
Kind of baiting them in to go through the corridor and closing it down, intercepting through there and going back the other way.
Yeah, well, Brisbane do that, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, they just want to go. And this is, you probably go back 12 months and you think Dane Zorko, he's the one that is the fire starter off halfback. So if he gets the ball, he's looking in that corridor and he's going to kick a 40-metre dart on the 45 degree and hit the target. Or, no, he's going to have a go at it. So we go back 12 months when they were down by 40-odd points to GWS in that final. And now Dane's had 2 kicked on him by his direct opponent. And I reckon he's had 2 goals kicked on him in the first half by turnovers. But in the second half, he kept going, and he just kept going. And that's what happened on the weekend as well against Geelong. He was cut off a couple of times, but he kept rolling the dice. And obviously that's a direction from the coach. Keep pulling the trigger. But to Geelong's credit, they knew where he was going, and easier said than done, but they just intercepted so much. Yeah. And they blocked off the handball. And I thought their defensive game, even to the extent, two Irish boys, was it O'Connor and Mullen?
Yeah.
I mean, what they did on Hugh McCluggage and Cam Rayner...
Did a job, didn't they?
They did great jobs.
Yeah.
And that's another thing of Geelong. They've got all these players from different backgrounds, whether the Gaelic footy guys or the athletes like Blixarves or Dempsey on the wing, didn't come through the traditional pathways, more of a basketballer.
Yep.
I mean, what they were doing is incredible. And how often does Dempsey kick goals from a metre out?
How was that little volley?
Nice little volley. Just about to hit the post. But the times Geelong over the last 3 or 4 years get people by themselves in the forward 50 is incredible. So their system just works. That was a dominant display.
Run. Yeah.
It's incredible, but it also makes you sick. Just how consistent they are.
You got to applaud them. But what they did was great. Still, we went into the game. I firmly believe Brisbane's best is the best, but it's getting to breaking point with the younger players being exposed, or so many, when another injury comes on, and the reality was they weren't allowed to play near their best.
Yeah.
So good display.
Talking about that injury, Lockie Neal, obviously it speaks for itself, massive out.
Yep.
Do you read too much into Fags' post-game comments about whether or not they can win the premiership without him? He said he hadn't really thought about it and he wasn't too sure, and it's just the first time I thought, there's a little bit of doubt
question mark
creeping into his mind, and you know him pretty well, so I was just curious to see what you thought.
Well, he's a very positive person, Fags, but you lose your arguably your best player, dual Brownlow medalist. It's probably ridiculous if he says, we no worries.
Yeah, of course.
But it is a concern, and just you going into the backup players just once again. So I still think they can win it, but they'd have to be at the very best. Like Hugh McCluggage had his quietest game for the year.
They
I would have
tagged
thought.
him off it.
So that's where. They tagged him really well. He looked a bit sore. I mean, he's had that knee for half a dozen weeks, but he did look a bit sore. So they're going to need a number of players to step up now. And maybe it's even...
Do they get Rayner into the middle maybe?
Well, he might spend a bit more time in the middle, so he'll go in for bits and pieces. But maybe it's even someone like, do they go now Fletcher?
Yeah.
So Fletcher in, say, 2 years' time on this list build will probably go into an inside midfielder. But that might be one where let's roll the dice, go in now.
Well, Levi got hooked on the weekend and he was playing on the wing. He just didn't have the legs to go.
Go with Dempsey.
Dempsey.
That was the one.
Would he play a bit more inside? Would he be an option, or is just not big enough, the body yet?
Well, and maybe it's the heat of a final.
Big stage.
Yeah, maybe. That's too big a risk. But, that midfield battle is going to be the key again. Yeah. And that's what, you go back half a dozen weeks, the Suns,
you got
Lions.
Anderson and Rao. No one's going to be able to stop them anyway.
Bailey Humphrey.
Yeah.
I mean, what he's doing and what they've found since that Lions game with the Suns, Alex Davies. I mean, he's bloody playing great footy now. But back on Brisbane, one of the interesting things will be, what do they do with Oscar McInerney? So now he's played 2 games in the reserves. So he's got through those games okay. And importantly, last week he pulled up okay. So that's one thing. They will be a bit gun-shy because the last game he played was when Fort and Oscar took on the Gold Coast Suns. And Oscar looked sore and they just got run over. So it'll be a big week at the selection table. Do we go 2 ruckman and drop one of the younger guys?
Because he'd be playing limited minutes, wouldn't he? You couldn't expect him to go a full 4 quarters.
Well, you've got to.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to really, because they're going to have to play forward, because that's where you haven't got that bailout kick player.
No.
Now, both Oscar and Darcy Fort aren't bad under the long ball.
Yeah.
So you're going to go the expectation is they're going to play 3 quarters and then sub one out and get a runner into the game. But you've got to be able to get that deep. But, yeah, there will be some scars from that last time they met.
That forward line is looking a bit shaky at the moment. Like they're relying on Morris to kind of have...
Who's a kid, second-year player.
A huge game, which, he's a kid. Yeah. Charlie Cameron, I'll put my Rockcliffe hat on right now, but... Rocky wants him dropped. Rocky wants him dropped.
For the fourth time this year.
I think he had 2 touches on the weekend. His body language looks off. He doesn't look up to the
Well,
task.
He's off. Yeah, I mean, he's had little patches where he's kicked goals, but he's had a lean 18 months, really. Well, I couldn't see... They're not going to drop him this week.
No, you couldn't.
Not with another experienced player going out.
Yeah.
And you think, well, they're going to need... And how Brisbane have been... they've had some good players, but they've been winning on bursts. So a Rayner burst or a Bailey burst. And I think Fags is more the put the arm around coach that, come on, mate, let's give us a burst. And we've seen a couple of bursts from Cameron this year, but not many. But I think they're going to have to stick with him now.
I think he just needs to get into the game somehow, whether it's just defensive actions and not worry too much about the ball.
Well, if the old, and you're probably too young to remember, when he was playing at the Adelaide Crows and you didn't have the 6-6-6 rule, so he was playing forward, but he'd start half back. So he'd go up, start half back, and on the bounce he'd just run straight through.
Yeah.
And, if you could do that, even as a forward, get him in play to get up around half-back. Now, that probably allows the opposition to have a spare half-back themselves, but just to get him involved.
Yeah,
and it worked 3 years ago with Joe Danaher going into the ruck, just to get a bit of ball in hand, feel good about yourself, get a couple of easier kicks, and then go forward. And because he feels too much now that every possession he gets, he's got to kick a goal.
Yeah.
And it's just looks like it's just getting that bear on his back's getting heavier and heavier to carry around. So I think there'd be no chance they'd leave him out this week. That horse is bolted.
Whether we see Country Roads at the Gabba on Saturday will be interesting.
Well, I think they'll need to. You'll need to hear Country Road bellowed out 3 times if they're going to get over the Suns.
That's a fair call. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. Let's go back to Saturday afternoon, and this was an absolute sweat for me as a Hawthorn supporter.
How were you early after the first 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, I was getting messages from people going, gee, this is good. You must be happy with this. And I was quick to send back, I'm not getting carried away, because I've seen Hawthorn blow leads like this. And sure enough, Jesse Hogan turns the game on its head.
Well, that was probably at half time you're getting those messages. First 10 minutes, GWS had 10 inside 50s to 1. And you go, oh, no. They're sound asleep, Hawthorn. And then it was incredible way you come back. Even in that first 10 minutes, the Hawthorn backline, which is pretty much an all traded backline, were superb. Like Barras just coming in to spoil or intercept mark. So you have a look at, and you talk about clubs building a list. We'll get on to Eston later.
Do we have to?
Won't spend much
They're
time.
on holiday.
Won't spend much time on them. We just don't know who's coming back from holiday to put on your jumper. That's the issue. But you have a look at that Hawthorn backline that performed so well on the weekend. Now, Hardwick's a drafted player. He did a superb job. Absolutely superb job on Toby Green. But the others, so you got Battle, All-Australian from St Kilda. You got Barras, former All-Australian, I would have thought, from West Coast. You got Impey, who ex-Port Adelaide, put on a clinic, had 960 metres gained and was given an enormous amount of run. Also, he was putting on pressure the other way. His chase was real good.
He's such a good two-way player.
Yeah, geez, he is. Carl Amon, again, Port Adelaide player that's been drafted in. Against 2 weeks ago against Brisbane, he had, 16 touches in the third quarter. He had 950 metres that week. So he adds, and the other one, Scrimshaw. So ex-Gold Coast Suns. So their backline has mostly been drafted in and been superb. They were great. And you look across the field, again, Newcomb, mid-season draft, mid-season rookie. Connor Nash from Gaelic footy and rugby. D'Ambrosio from Essendon and Richmond Twos. Meek's been traded in as well. Then you go to their forward line. You got Gunston's traded in, Chol and Ginnivan. So
they've recruited incredibly well.
They've done so well. So, certainly you've got to nail your draft picks.
Yep.
But your list management team, it's about to map out who do we need and how do we get them. That's outstanding.
I don't know if you said Ginnivan then or not, but he's
Ginnivan.
another one.
Yeah.
What did he kick? 3 goals, I think. I don't know.
I think so.
Me, but that second quarter where he just he made such a difference.
And he gets them up and going, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
He gets the crowd up and going.
Yep.
The for and against, they're into him as opposition supporters, but he gets their crowd and players up and going.
It's an interesting debate whether or not the way the Hawks sort of play their footy, the whole Hollywood Hawks thing, is it almost suited to finals footy because it kind of takes the pressure off the players. Like they still look like they're out there just having fun. They're not as nervous about going out there winning a final as you see some teams, I think, anyway.
It looks like they got a bit nervous in the third quarter.
They did, yeah.
But, that quarter time came at the right point. And
couldn't have come quick enough.
considering the Giants had the wind in the last quarter, I thought they were just going to kick on with this.
There
They
was
got
a 2 or 3 goal breeze there.
Yeah.
But like they were minus 12. Hawthorn were minus 12 in clearances in that third quarter. And you go back to John Newcomb in his 100th game, his third final. He's probably been best on ground in the 3 finals he's played.
Yeah, easily.
But he turned it around with a number of their teammates. Actually, speaking of that imports, Connor Nash, have you seen how big he is?
Oh,
he's 198. 198 centimetre midfielder.
He's been a much maligned player with Hawthorn fans. There's been times where he was thrown under the bus before, we sort of turned this corner. But now he's a linchpin for us. I think.
Developing nicely. So it was great to see. So maybe is that raw enthusiasm and excitement to celebrate and maybe some clubs could get stressed at 3/4 time. So whatever Sam Mitchell said or however the players reacted, they obviously reacted in a positive way. They conceded 6 goals into 3/4 time, conceded the first one in the last quarter or something like that. So 7 goals on the trot, and then the turnaround against the win, brilliant.
Where do you stand on that though? Is that a concern for you to see a team blow a 7-goal lead, or is it encouraging to see them weather that storm and come back?
I'd go more encouraging to come back because we've seen Giants do it to a lot of clubs. Giants can score. Callahan, Tom Green, Josh Kelly coming into the game as the sub for Darcy Jones. Yeah, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. It is a concern when you get at least 3 put on your chin, but the fact is they do it to a lot of clubs. But to respond,
the Hawks couldn't miss in the first quarter either.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely helped them.
It makes a difference. You look at Brisbane over the last couple of years have missed set shots.
Yeah.
In big games, no matter who you play, you're going to get chances. Now, they mightn't all be the best quality chances, but if you take your chance, you're going to give you a fair go. But against these very best teams, if you don't take your chance, you're no hope. So, no, they did well. And should say, was it Connor McDonald as well?
Yes.
He was pretty handy. Talk about take your chances. What, he had 3 snaps in the first half for 3 goals. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, a couple out of nowhere as well.
Yeah.
We do need to dissect the Giants, though, because this is a little bit of deja vu now of this club. Fallen short on a stage where you think they're going to win. And you sat here last week, Lynchy, and you said they're the most dangerous team heading into the finals outside the top 4. And I wasn't going to disagree with you. I think a lot of people would have thought that as well. When you look at them on paper, very talented list. I know they had a couple of injuries. Sounds like they're going to lose Lee Collier now to St Kilda. What's the future, do you think, for this club? And what do you think a loss like this also does for them psychologically?
Well, there's deep scars now, has to be, because they lost their last 3 or 4 finals matches. But you think of the last 3 at least, they were up against the Sydney Swans at the SCG and got run over. Against Brisbane, they 40-odd points up or 30-odd points up in the third quarter, lost that one. And then this one, they fought back beautifully to hit the front and then got run over again. So there will be scars, and it takes so much effort. And that's why it's so devastating. You get to post-match and your season's over. It takes so much work to get back to just give yourself one more chance at doing better. and this is what they put themselves into this position, and they fell over again. So there will be some scars, but yeah, they'd be gutted. They'd be gutted. They should have gone much deeper last year, and I think they've let some games go this year. Not just the final, but some games would have had them in a much better position.
Another team that is right there with them, the Fremantle Dockers. This was game of the weekend easily. If you stayed up watching it right till the end, you'd be happy with yourself because it's probably one of the most classic games we'll see over the last, 10 years. Tough to top. Just to all of us based here in Queensland, I think it's kind of great to see the Suns do it, I have to say. Regardless of who you support.
I don't know. Yeah. As a Don supporter, it's rough seeing the Suns win a final before.
True.
Happy for them.
I wasn't going to mention that, but you brought it up. So
the Dave Swallows selection, and how's that panned out? And so he's come on the last quarter, and how that panned out in the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes. He slaughtered one going to centre half forward.
He nearly cost
He's
him.
absolutely slaughtered it, turnover, and it's gone back the way for a Jackson goal. He'd be feeling sick in the guts. And now to get this opportunity, it's great. It's great for him. It's great for the club. And I'm not sure he's guaranteed of actually playing this week.
That might be, that's a good point to sign off on, like winning.
You probably wouldn't want to get dropped. It's just what other options you got. I mean, you know what you get with Dave, but what a way to finish. And it was actually perfect because they celebrated the goal, but then it was reviewed and there's a point. And there's no way you can go 9 seconds from one end of the ground to the other.
And I think that in itself is important because the Suns have never traditionally been on the right side of those kinds of things. Like you just, when the final minute was being played out, you just thought, the Suns are going to blow this.
Bloke on the mark, he shouldn't have appealed for the touch in the end, really.
Yeah, that too,
No, well, that's right. Imagine if he smothered it. And Dave hadn't kicked the point.
He's done all right because he hit it real clean, and to get a touch on it and still clear for a goal at the time. But.
So he's done well, but they're stars that you needed to stand up. So as I said, Rao and Anderson, very good. You know who was best on ground? Louise Rao in the post-match.
Yes, that was outstanding.
How good.
Around it.
Maddie's sister there as well, so that was good. Humphrey with his 3 goals. And as I mentioned, Davies has been handy. But Will Powell, off half-back, doesn't get too many people pump him up. But week in, week out, he's a star as well. So a ripper game, and geez, the lead up to the Q clash, the biggest Q clash in history, the biggest Queensland footy game, probably arguably outside of the grand final that was here in COVID, but it's the biggest game of footy in Queensland.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot ticket. The name you didn't mention there too, Mac Andrew, the decision to throw him forward. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, we've seen that happen a little bit in the past. Now, not sure what's happened first, whether
was he following his player?
Well, it looked like you could see in the coach's box, Damien Hardwick was on the phone and pointing back, so that was to Mac Andrew to go back. But whether is that to match up with Tracy that had gone back first, or did Tracy follow Mac down? So not sure which way it panned out, but we've seen it happen in the past. I think there was a game earlier in the year, or was it last year? Mac kicked a goal on the siren to win, but they'd be sick in the guts with that one because Mac's taking a chest mark. So Tracy's sort of back on his haunches, and
it's not a great matchup for the Dockers, is it?
No, not great. So anyway, great win, great move.
Yeah, well, we'll jump into the Q clash in a second, but Freo, like I said, similar, or cut from the same kind of cloth as.
Well, I reckon it's slightly because Freo, they're still quite a young emerging list.
Oh yeah, very young. Bottom 4 for age profile.
Yeah, exactly. So whereas I think the Giants, they're definitely the middle of the ground. They're really aging through and they've got those scars like Lynchy was saying.
But Freo, that probably the frustrating thing. They were 26 points down in the last quarter.
They should have won,
and they got the speed on the game and hit the front. Probably the frustrating part for me watching Freo is when they're slow and so structured. But we've seen even in the last game against the Western Bulldogs, was the second quarter they just got up and going, move the ball quick, and they're so dangerous. They probably just needed to pull the trigger a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're well drilled, structured, predictable team. But that's another one that's got away. Back-to-back years, really.
Yeah.
They fell out of the finals last year. They made finals this year, which is a box ticked. But they'd be gutted. And Nate Fyfe's last game of footy and last quarter of footy, he looked all right.
He did.
Came on.
Yeah, it's the way you want to see him go out, isn't it?
Yeah, well, without the result.
Without the injuries and stuff.
Yeah, so disappointing for him and the crowd over there.
Brisbane, I mean, if Fremantle did make it through, you'd give them a pretty good hot chance up here playing the Lions this week.
Yeah.
As a Brisbane man, would you have preferred to play the Dockers or the Suns?
Yeah, it's a good one. Probably the Dockers. I mean, I think 6 weeks ago going into that Suns game, I didn't think the Suns could get within 30 points of Brisbane.
Yeah.
And they just belted them. It'll be interesting to see what happens, especially with Rao playing so well for most of the year. But he played well that night in the Q Clash as well.
Yeah.
And at times we've seen Dunkley go to Rao at stoppages as a starting point. Now, he did in the last game as well, but didn't really follow him around too much. I reckon that'll be a tighter matchup because Rao and Anderson are so important. I think Dunkley has shown in the past that he can go to Rao, still get the ball himself, but cut Matty's influence out. So I'd be staggered if that doesn't happen.
The weather played a huge part in that game as well. Like Rao was just dominating in the wet, just cleaning up the ball. And I think if it's a dry day, I think Brisbane have a chance with their skills through the middle of the corridor rather than just going long. Like the Suns just bullied them that game.
We'll have to jump on Bomb and have a look. See what
Yeah.
the forecast is doing.
Long range, but yeah, it'd be a quick game, I would have thought.
But emotionally, how do you think the Suns will go after winning their first final?
Yeah.
Can they back that up?
I reckon they can.
Yeah.
I reckon they got that much confidence in their coach.
Yeah.
And I remember when Lee coached us, and none of us have really had too much finals experience, but Lee walks in the room and he says something, you go, well, you know what you're talking about because you've done it as a coach and you've done it as a player. And that's the same with Dimmer, with all these young guys, inexperienced footballers, bar, 3 of them had played finals in the lead up to the game. But he walks in and he says, this is what happens. And they go, well, you know, because you've done it so successfully with Richmond, Port Adelaide and Essendon as a player, that I think he can reset them. He'd be telling them, enjoy it. Now, let's click back in. We've got something exciting to challenge us at the end of the week. So
I think he's speaking the language of the younger players too, because I think it was around 15 he brought in the Bad Boys Detroit Pistons theme. And then I saw on the weekend Mac Andrews wearing a Vanderbilt college football shirt. And I know you love your American football.
Take me through that. What's that mean?
Yeah, so Vanderbilt famously upset Alabama, who's like a college football powerhouse on the road last year. You'd remember this, so leaning into that underdog role is what I'm getting at. So, yeah, clearly he's bringing some of these kind of strategies in the locker room, which I find quite interesting.
It is good, and he's a theme coach. Like, he gives themes, which is good as an athlete as well, because it sort of takes your focus away from the end result. Because you think about, the Suns players think about, geez, we've got Brisbane this week, big game at the Gabba, whereas the coach has given him a theme and something else to focus on, so you're not just thinking about Brisbane, my opponent, the end result sort of thing. You're thinking about other little things along the way. So no, he's doing a great job. It's fantastic.
Every team kind of skews and manipulates the story so their club is always the underdog. I feel like it's an Australian thing in general. Yeah. It's like it's us against them. It's that mentality.
Yeah, a lot of clubs do.
No one likes to go in and be like, oh, we're the favourites, so we should win this one.
Which is a bit more of an American thing, isn't it? No, we're the top dogs.
We are the hunted.
Yeah.
No, we're hunting.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a massive build-up. So do we get Tuke Miller and Dane Zorko to do the press conference pre-game together?
Surely.
Shake hands?
Yeah, surely.
Get them to toss the coin pre-game. Retro round.
One of the great rivalries, that one. I love it. So you tipping Brisbane or you tipping the Suns?
Oh, well, I suppose I've got to tip someone, don't I? Brisbane at home? Was it they've won 11 out of 12 or 10 out of 12 or something like that. Yeah, but
they're warm favourites.
Brisbane are.
Yeah. I know you're not allowed to talk dollars and cents,
but that's interesting, isn't it? After the last game, but I think Brisbane at home. But yeah, this will be a cracker. This will be take your opportunities early.
Yeah,
and that's where it will be test for Brisbane because they're the ones that sort of miss more often than not.
I don't think Brisbane. It's rare to see them play 2 bad games in a row as well. They've always responded when they're down. So
and that speaks to Fagan as well. He typically bounces back well with his list. Yeah. Friday night, Crows Hawks. Crows go in favourites as you'd expect on their home deck. But geez, this is deja vu as well for Hawthorn. They lost on this stage last year to Port at the Adelaide Oval, so there's a lot of little storylines to play out here. Where are we leaning on this one?
Oh, this is, again, another tough one. Hawthorn will be happy that they've got the win away from home, but it was almost a home crowd. Like, there was a heap of Hawthorn supporters.
Yeah, talk me through that. You were
at NG Stadium. Like, it was a good atmosphere. It was 20,000 people, but there was a lot of Hawthorn supporters. All they were certainly very vocal. It's going to be vastly different at the Adelaide Oval.
Yep.
There's going to be a full house of 95% are going to be Crows supporters.
Yeah.
But as you touched on before, this confidence of the Hawthorn youngsters, they're going to bounce out there, and if they can get up and going and silence that crowd early, it might be hard to stop. So
sounds like you're leaning the brown and gold to me.
Yeah, all right.
Talk you into it.
But you think a lot of the top 8 or the top 9 were so close.
Yep.
Adelaide were on top, and often we get sucked in at the back of a loss that they'll struggle the next week. So I think I'm going to stick with Adelaide.
Okay.
Mind you, I was 1 from 4 on the weekend tipping. How bad was that?
Yeah,
only tip the Hawks.
Oh, it's better than nothing. First week of finals always tough. Jack, which way you leaning on?
I always thought whoever lost the Crows Pies game was going out in straight sets, so I'm going to stick with that. I think Hawthorn's got enough to beat them. I think they're a bit wobbly, the Crows.
So an Essendon supporter barracking for Hawthorn.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I'm not barracking for them. That's just how I think it's going to play. I'll be happy for the Crows to win.
Rocky, you'd be happy with it. He's been on the Crows straight sets bandwagon since we started.
Yeah, Port Adelaide, man. He's not going to be barracking for the Crows, that's for sure.
Nah. Do we want to give any hot takes before we get out of here, Rockcliffe style?
Oh, who's he want dropped?
Yeah.
We've covered Charlie Cameron. Anything else?
No, that's it. He would have gone Charlie Cameron.
Do we want to talk Merrett?
Oh yeah, what's going on there?
Didn't really want to talk Merrett.
So what's happening there? So he wants to be convinced that he should stay at the club?
So it's just his exit meeting. He's kind of just wants to see what the plan is set out by the club. Basically get them to convince him to stay. He did it last season as well. Just see where the list is at. It's... year on year, the list is in a much worse position than it was this time last year, where there was a bit of optimism around the club. Now we've had 12 injuries throughout the season, and players are asking to leave. I just don't know where it leaves the club in terms of their culture.
I tell you whether it will leave the club if Merrett walks out the door. They'll be in all sorts of strife. We're talking about... Nazi walking out on St Kilda, pulled down the roll door.
I was going to say, we're doing that at the hangar.
But imagine, because you're creating that hope, and certainly going into next year, the hope would be we get our list back and try to build a few of these younger players up. But if your captain walks out, it'd be
and he's
shattering.
been quite optimistic with the list in the past, so it would be a big statement for him to finally say, I want to go. I want to go to Hawthorn. I want to go.
And this is the challenge that we've spoken about before this year, is when your club's under the pump, opposition clubs are going to raid your players.
Circling.
And it's not about giving you more money. So Merrett won't get more money to go anywhere else.
No.
He'll get less money, but he might just decide, I want to go. So like Ridley's not going to get more money if he goes to Brisbane. No. Draper's not going to get more money. But they're looking to go to a club that gives them a chance to win a flag. And that's where, like St Kilda, you've got to applaud St Kilda, rightly or wrongly, they're trying to break the cycle. So you almost got to focus on a bunch of players, bring them all in together, and break that cycle.
Yeah.
And that's where it's going to be a challenge in the coming years for Essendon. Break the cycle of players wanting to go, and how do you encourage people to want to come to your club and take pay cuts?
Exactly.
I'm just looking at the list. If he does walk, who are you building around in the future? Like Kako, he's 19.
Mate, it's
pretty
a long run
barren.
up after there. Like,
And we're assuming Draper walks, Ridley.
yeah. Like, they're on holiday right now. Let's just
Let them enjoy it.
We're looking at finals. Let's focus on the finals footy. But yeah, it is grim. If he leaves, then I think a lot of fans might leave as well.
Yourself included.
No, I'll stick around.
Hang in there. Hang in there. They'll be right. Surely they'll be right.
Winning's so much more sweeter when you've gone through the pain.
A little bit of pain. How old were you when they last won a final?
Would have been 14, 13 maybe. Yeah.
What are you, 40 now, are you?
Feel 40.
All right, boys, that might do us for this week. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Lynchy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Massive
Rich.
weekend coming
Thanks,
up.
Ryan.
Yes. Rocky will be back next week to deliver some hot takes, I'm sure. Until then, enjoy the footy.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.